Hello and welcome to Sharp Cuts. On this volleyball talk show, we talk about all things volleyball and beach volleyball. On this episode, we have Brandy Wilkerson and John May, who we talk with about the road to the Olympics, partnership dynamics, and lighting up the YouTube comments section when streaming volleyball games. You can watch this show on both Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can find your podcasts, and on YouTube at Yes Guy Gaming's YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Okay, we're here talking with Brandy Wilkerson and John May, my biological father. We're actually going to just gleam over the fact that when we started the call, some of us were in a prone position when we first saw. We're going to move right past that. So we're going to talk a little beach volleyball here with Brandy on a journey to the Olympics. So I'm kind of curious, Brandy, just to get your thoughts, because we were all watching and participating in the volleyball world on YouTube as you played, the other teams played. I'm just kind of curious, what was the vibe down there? Did you go back and watch the games? Did you hear from people who maybe got a chance to see you play who hadn't before? I'm kind of curious, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's kind of anxious, I think, at first to see what the heck a 3-week bubble in a resort in Mexico looks like. Like, just no clue what we were getting ourselves into. Are we surviving these 3 weeks? Are we thriving? We don't know. So,
like, were you worried?
No, I don't think I was worried. Only because the tournaments in Mexico, like Chetumal, have been done so well, and the organizers there are just, I think, are some of the best I've ever worked with and experienced. So I was pretty...
I did not expect that. I mean...
Right?
Josh, you know, we're talking, I mean, Norsica, usually they don't deliver. So, it's great to hear that.
Mexico Norsicas love Brandy, though. Like, she speaks enough to get by that, like, La Paz, like, I think you're a big deal there.
Actually, yeah, maybe I'm a little biased because I do love Mexico. Mexico's always treated me well. But no, we are scarred because of Norsica tournaments not being so great sometimes. But no, they did a great job. And then going in, they really did section off half of a resort for us and had everything organized. We walked in, like, got tested right away. Our bags are getting sanitized. We're walked to our room, like, taped in there. Like,
that's amazing. So you're just staying at a resort.
Yeah.
Oh
yes.
my gosh. I'm so incredibly bitter. I mean, not that I would have made the main draw or anything,
a little
but,
different.
I mean, hey.
Yeah. Oh, stop. No, it was dry, if it makes you feel better. Absolutely no alcohol in sight. And all of the regular hangout areas were covered by outdoor gyms. So there were, like, weights and bands and bikes everywhere. So it looked a little different. But I thought the most hilarious part was there was a bridge kind of cutting off half of the pool area to the public. And you could see that people were just, like, living this, like, COVID denial life of just vacationing and drinking. And then there was all of us, like, wearing masks, distancing, like, never spending any time outside, like, two totally different worlds happening in this resort.
That is such a great point, because we were watching on the video and they're panning to these people on the sidelines just going hard. Like, you see people in some of the night matches just walking by, clearly drunk, like just dancing stuff. There's a rock or something nearby somebody's getting on top of, like, waving around. That must have been so weird. They're, like, right there too.
Seriously. Yeah. I had a moment where it was so surreal because, I mean, I have these moments all the time when we're playing or training, even at Woodbine Beach, just, like, we're in such intense situations and environments and just going for these crazy high goals. And then you, like, look over, and this happened when we were warming up before a game. And there was, like, a whole crew of women just taking, like, bachelorette party photos and, like, all this crazy, like, super girly, like, random Instagram stuff. And I'm like, what is happening next to me right now?
Yeah, that's got to be a little bit distracting. And I mean, impressive that everybody's able to just keep it together and try to play well. I'm curious, have you gone back and watched any of those games? Because that's really the only intro we had into the scene. And some of the stuff people were saying in chat was just great, but also just awful. Do you watch those back at all?
I haven't. I want to, but I have experienced a little bit just watching other people's games. And I think when I first realized what was going on in these comment boxes, I think it was the Doha tournament, where I was like, people are intense. Like, oh my God.
Oh, so you're, like, back in the hotel, right?
Yes.
But you're watching a game that's happening right then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're seeing what's going on for the other people's games.
Exactly. I haven't watched my games yet.
Okay. Okay, I mean, hey, I respect that, because if it were me, I would just be too tempted to go back and see, okay, what the hell are people saying right now?
And plus, that's all Garrett ever did was just watch himself. He never watched anybody else.
Well, I still do. Like, hey, no, I absolutely
comments, you're
still
just
do.
watching
Yeah,
yourself.
I run a YouTube channel. Why? To entertain people? No, just to watch myself back. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But when you look at the comments, because when you get 1,000 people in there, the comments are just going, right? So you see people speaking in other languages. And I don't know if anybody of you, Dad or Josh, have taken the time to translate what some of the people are saying. But it gets intense. Oh, I was right in there. The match that you played, I forget who you were playing, but it was the match that Heather actually went down with a bit of an injury for a period.
Yeah,
and the chat was firing. It's like, oh, what's going on? And I was getting in there. You see people who are speaking Portuguese or whatever, and you got to translate it to see what they're saying. But then absolutely got to call them out in English or maybe translate one yourself.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Put in the extra effort for us. Thank you.
Oh, well, I mean, it was a blast. Like, that was kind of, we've talked about it for a few weeks now on the show, how much fun it was to engage in that. Josh didn't make any comments, I think, because, of his status with his employer.
That you know of. I feel like Josh would have an alternate personality. Like,
I didn't even think of that, but I should have.
Oh my gosh, he had a burner account. He was on there just typing in. He was the guy chirping me.
And he actually speaks Portuguese. So,
there's
Josh,
a lot
we don't know about
Josh. I should have known it. You were probably doing that too, Dad.
No. Doesn't it say who's the feed? Obviously, I think I was watching always under Christina's feed or whatever, so I couldn't say anything. Well, I wanted to say a lot, but it would have been like, what? You said that?
Like, Christina, you got pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh. No, and it gets like petty, like the most petty, right? Because it's like somebody says, "Oh yeah, Brandy's terrible," and then you got to follow that with, "No, you're terrible," and then it just goes south from there.
Okay, for starters, nobody ever said Brandy's terrible.
Oh, I was really gonna go back and try and find this person and find out where they live.
I mean, it's kind of true though. People seem to adore you in these chats. I mean, is that something that follows through? Like everywhere you go, people are just saying, "Hey, Brandy, what's going on?"
Maybe. I try. I have gotten a lot more instances where I'm like, "Oh my God, am I supposed to know this person?" But I think it's great. I love meeting strangers, though. That's like one of my favorite pastimes. So.
Well, I'm sure you get a chance to do that a lot. I mean, if you get a chance, don't translate what other people are saying in other languages on your games, because some of them are pretty offside, I will say, and it's kind of under the guise of you're speaking another language, but some people go pretty far.
Really? I mean, I mean, what we were watching, Heather's learning Portuguese currently, taking classes, and then I've got pretty decent Spanish and French. So between us, there's not much
it's true.
We're not trying to see.
But then you see some Russian in there, and it's like nobody knows what they're saying.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
Spanish, you'd probably be able to quickly translate, though, what some people are saying in there. So you should just go in there, camp in the chats, and just chirp people in Spanish. It would be effective.
Just really get my fans up that way.
Well, yeah, speaking of your fans, and kind of something I wanted to ask you about, because I'm curious, because Josh and I were trying to go sharp cuts. Obviously, welcome to the show. If you're still watching, I mean, welcome to the show. Thanks so much. Here with Brandy Wilkerson and John May alongside. He hasn't really said much, but we'll get into it. I'm kind of curious, how you've managed to grow your social media following, what that does for you in the sport. What I really like about your Instagram account specifically is you're not doing a ton of hey, this is all the products I use. Hey, I really like that. You're posting shots that you just like and enjoy and showing off, which, I mean, people seem to like. I'm curious, how have you grown that? Does that help you as a player? Is that something you're trying to grow your brand? And do you have any tips for us? Because, Josh, we need it, man. No offense, Josh.
Oh, no. This is expert talk. This is why she's on the show, right? I'm going to take notes just from this segment right here.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. Well, first of all, thanks. I appreciate it. I think this is something that's relatively new for me to kind of take seriously or give myself credit for, or even not be so modest about, because I think it is a really incredible opportunity to grow a brand and to have a voice and to even, use this as a platform to, the next step of my life, post volleyball. I do want people to get to know me on a personal level so that they do enjoy watching, not just for the sport, but just knowing how I think and what I believe. And if it resonates with them, then that's awesome. And just to know that athletes and celebrities, everyone is just so much more, it's just so much more intimate because of social media, which I love. And I think I just try and be as weird as possible in terms of, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and try to be as authentic, as hard as it is. And like Julie, you guys know Julie, her and I joke about, like, if you can read your caption out loud and not like hate yourself because it's like some fake writing, then you're probably doing it right. So I try and stay authentic in what I feel is true for me, and I guess people can see that. So I guess they like that.
Now, did playing for the AVP help with that? Because you've been exposed to a lot of other athletes. Like, I find that the Americans kind of get this, and you and I have talked before that there's people who play on the AVP who have sponsors, where like we have top players in Canada who don't have sponsors, right? So I'm just wondering, being exposed to like that level of athlete where they treat it as a business or a career, like, did that kind of give you some ideas as a Canadian athlete, like what's working well for other people?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always kind of used the American athletes as a template in terms of how they carry themselves in the professional and kind of, commercial side of the sport. It's a real thing. We all love playing, but we do also love making money. And if this is something that I can do because people like my image or they like what I have to say, then how else can I do this again in a way that's authentic? Am I going to align myself with brands that I don't actually care about? No, because then people are really I really believe that people are going to feel that energy. They're going to see right through it. And that's where you lose people. So
big news for us.
AVP is huge. Yeah.
Associating yourself with brands you don't care about, that means we're not one of them. Yes, Josh, we did it.
Yes. No, everything I do and spend my time with, I want to make it, 150%. If I say I'm going to do this interview, I'm going to do it because I really want to spend this time, and this is, valuable for you and for me. So I think I try and approach every opportunity like that. And as much as there's so much stuff going around, there's so many excuses you can have to not show up or not do this thing, or this selfie video is really annoying, but I got to do it. Like, I think I try and get more and more used to doing those things because this is just the way the world is right now. And it's just time to make the best of it and, use it for my benefit, and then I can have my own personal self that's just very intimate to me, that some people will just never know about. And I think that's kind of freeing to know that I can go in between those two worlds.
Smart.
Now, Garrett, stay with me on this. I'm thinking we get temporary tattoos. She puts it on the inside of her bicep because when she gets a block and does the big roar.
Brandy gets a temporary tattoo, or you and me?
Well, she's got some fantastic real ones, but we get the temporary ones for the athletes. And then when she does the block Sally or the big like roar Sally or this go full like Eagles,
What, like sharp
cuts?
Cuts? But then they do the one fist pump and it just says cuts, and everyone's like, "What? I don't
Oh
get
my
that."
gosh, yes.
So we can expect a big boost from
Or
having
like on
Brandy
the outside
Wilkerson
when
on.
I actually do a cut shot, and then it'll be right there. Come on.
Oh.
If you hold the finish, that's big real estate, I think.
See, you want the
Yes.
photos, though, of you actually hitting it, right? So you
Yes,
got to get
yes.
the angle just right of where they're going to see it, right? So you get the back. That's a great point. Back of the arm, Josh.
And sharp cuts resonates with me. I'm more of like, let's go for the sharp angles. I'm not a heavy hitter. I never have been. Nobody associates me with that. So.
Deep line, never heard of it.
Yeah, forget deep line. Just cut it sharp. Absolutely. I mean, the cutty is a bit familiar to all of us. Runs in the family.
Exactly.
Dad,
You
I bet you could still
guys-
bust out
you-
the sharpest cutty of all time.
You guys are blowing me away on this show.
Great. No,
I
leave it
gotta
at that.
tell ya.
That's perfect.
I
Done.
gotta tell you,
Print it. Quote.
Brandy, you are blowing me away.
Why?
Well, I
Is it
haven't
good
talked
or
to you in
bad?
ages, right?
Okay.
Well, yeah, I
haven't
mean,
spoke-
it's kind of by design. No.
And you're just all pro. It's so cool to see.
Oh, thank you. Well,
I know you've obviously been performing, both on the AVP, and you've been doing great with Heather, and it's awesome to watch your performances, but you're just blowing me away with your articulation and just your whole energy and who you are. It's like, wow. And you're with these two clowns. I've never seen Josh so animated.
Yes, but hey, easy there.
He's doing the pumping and everything. He usually says 2 words, Josh, and now he's so fired up. Like, now he's performing.
Well,
if you were on every show,
easy there.
We're going to get some added viewers here. It's for the brand.
Yeah. Brandy's also maybe making a subtle jab at us, though, when she said the point about, being her authentic self and just, really putting herself out there and trying to be true with what she's saying, because she knows that we're a bunch of posers here on this show, and we just fake it every time. So I don't think it's all great coming out this direction.
Just trying to get those clicks.
Hey, we're trying to, and hey, if you're still listening, thank you so much.
We haven't lost you with all this phoniness that we're trying to unlayer here.
Yeah, it really feels that.
What?
It really feels phony, yeah.
So let's get back to the discussion then, because to build in last week's episode, I think Garrett would have struggled in the bubble, and here's why. He mentioned he didn't want to make friends with other countries.
Take a shot at me directly after
that? Absolutely. Sharp cuts. Let's get on it here, Garrett. You didn't want to have dinner with other athletes. You didn't want to talk to other people. So, Brandy, how were athletes switching off in this bubble? You can't drink. You're in a hotel room with your partner. Like, if you go to a common area where you have to talk to somebody else, like, were there athletes like Garrett who are just like, I'm from Canada. I want to hang out with the other Canadians, and I don't want to hang out with anybody else? Or was there more intermingling? Like, did this feel different just because of the downtime of this event? Because you couldn't go be a tourist, right? You were either like watching volleyball or thinking about volleyball or having dinner, right? Like, it's a pretty small space to like escape or switch off, right?
No, absolutely. And the socializing, the mingling was really at a minimum. Like, I think, Garrett, you were thrived if you didn't want to talk to anyone, because then you would have been doing it exactly as how they probably intended and wanted the bubble to go. But I think after...
Brandy's got my back, Josh. Beat it.
You're perfect for COVID, Garrett. You're perfect.
You're perfect.
Not sure that's a good thing.
Honestly, I think introverts are killing it, but I'm a little more extroverted, and just that I like being around people. I might not be like the loudest person ever, but I love being around people. So it was tough. And I think all the extroverts just started by week 2, like trying to find places where they could just like sit and hope that someone would like walk by for long enough to have a conversation. Because really there weren't any common areas, or I think everyone was just really trying to take it seriously. We just didn't know enough about how things worked, and just with the scheduling, and they really did enforce a lot of the mask rules and all that stuff. So there was a little bit of fear lingering for sure. But I think by the 3rd week, slowly people would like kind of sit around, with space by the pool, or there was a little coffee shop that everyone would go like as a ritual just to have something to do, or maybe stay a little bit longer at the gym, just try and find ways to still connect or catch up with people. But it would always be the like, hey, are we hugging? Are we not? Are we? There was a lot of that. So
that's interesting. Yeah. Well, I'll say I'm definitely an extrovert as well, but I was super bitter and didn't want to talk with anybody I was competing with. But it's interesting you say that, okay, you were trying to find a way, because you're somebody who's clearly just connected with people like that when on tour, and you're saying you're missing it. I'm kind of curious, though, because for me, if I were in there in the Olympic hunt, it's tight, it's highly competitive. Like it's the same people every week. Like it's getting tense. And we talked a little bit last week on our last show about, kind of the partnership dynamic and like what that looks like when you see somebody have a really tough loss, or they're arguing with their partner. Then you see one partner eating with another group of people, or seeing with other people. Just curious your perspective. Like, are you seeing that happen? And in COVID, like, are you seeing partners like just sitting on eating dinner in a different table, or like somebody be like, hey, do you mind if I just hang out here for a bit? My partner is like doing something or whatever,
Yeah. It's definitely a little bit of both. I think you guys can understand, like, everything's rumors. Everyone's always speculating and, like, watching each other and making up their own stories about what's going on, right? But I think there's a reality in that probably personal life and social life and financial life has taken a toll. And then now you're in these bubbles, which you're competing, you're trying to some people are trying to qualify, some people are just trying to maintain or whatever. Like, shit is hitting the fan at some point in your life. And now we're trying to play volleyball. So I think everyone was very serious doing their own thing. And then just to have those like little human moments of like, if you see someone, like that happened to me, our last game, we lost. I was really upset. We were done our meeting. I was just sitting by the pool, like, sounds so dramatic, like kind of crying, and everyone left. But then I had one of the German girls just come up to me and just like kind of be like, I don't want to see you like this, like, you're okay, and just like walk off. And just to have those moments like, hey, we are all trying to get this. We all know what the goal is. I'm still trying to beat you, but like, man, this year's tough. Like,
so that helped you.
Do this. It was just nice because it kind of affirmed that I wasn't crazy to think that this is hard right now and it's hard for everybody. And then just be like, you know what, just because it's hard, it doesn't mean I can't do it. But like, if I'm seeing everyone else having the time of their lives and I'm the only one struggling, that would be pretty tough. But everyone's struggling, and to see kind of when we are succeeding, I think maybe that's just my point of view, where I just want to see people succeed or do their best. It doesn't mean that I can't beat them, but I want to do them to do their best too. It helps me.
I mean, that's mentally a great attitude to have, and probably why you're in the hunt for the Olympics for Team Canada in beach volleyball. And I'm not. If that were me and somebody comes up to me, I'm like crying by the pool after matches, said, hey, I don't want to see this. So I'd be like, get out of here. Like, I'm like, beat it. Like, get away from me. It's like, I'd be like, no, I'd be just so frustrated and bitter and be like, oh gosh, so good for you. But that is definitely an uncommon thing. Like,
come on.
It's the same thing. We play euchre with dad or like play any game at home. And we're competing. He wins. I can't look him in the eye for the next hour. Like, it just ruins everything. So good for you. I mean, hold on to that.
It happens a lot.
It happened a lot.
There's not a lot of eye contact between you guys.
Yeah. Hey, I got to ask Brandy something because we don't get to talk ever. So I'm going to ask her now that she's here. I've often wondered, like, athletes will go through their career as they're developing, right? And then there's sort of a pivotal time in their career where they realize, hey, I got it. I got this. Like, I'm really in the game here. Mm-hmm. And I was really curious with you, having kind of watched your career, did that happen, or was there a moment in time or a particular event or something that, because you obviously are performing and carrying yourself, like, you now realize, you got it?
Man, that's tough. I honestly, I had to kind of tell myself that before it felt real. So I told myself that when I first started, and I didn't even know what it was really, because I just didn't have the background and the support and all of that stuff to have anyone else tell me that. So I had to kind of not fake it. I really did think I was going to be the best I wanted, and I was totally capable. I just didn't have the proof yet, but I just didn't let that really distract me. And then when I started getting some proof in results, in consistency, in just being regarded by the people that I look up to, now talking to me in a different way. Those are things that kind of were pillars for me. And I just tried so hard not to take advantage of it, because I think so easily you can be like, okay, next thing. And that's kind of how I got there. I had to be like, okay, what's next? And finally, when I especially when Heather and I finished, first in the world, and then I got best blocker in the world, and all these things that I would talk about, I'd be like, okay, I can have a moment for myself. Now, am I going to sit on that forever? Absolutely not. But I think that was a big moment.
Are you kidding me?
It was a big moment.
Sit on that forever. Best blocker? I would just bring that up in every conversation. Hi, yes, I'm Brandy Wilkerson, best blocker on the FIVB World Tour. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. How are
Yes,
you?
it's me. You've heard of me. Yes, it's me.
Like, you know who I am. You don't even need to say your name, just best blocker on the World Tour.
That might have been a point where you thought, oh, I think I'm pretty good. Voted by everybody best blocker in the world. Oh, well, maybe I'm good.
Maybe it's just not in my head anymore.
Hey, let me ask you something. When did you stop hyperventilating? I got to ask
Oh my gosh. I had a mini one last year, and I thought of you, John. I really did.
Wow.
That was real.
Well, the first time it happened, right?
Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what? What's happening to this tour? I was scared, right? I didn't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
But then you calm down but I think it happened, maybe once or twice more.
Yeah. And it's
listen,
so funny.
Brandy,
It's like,
if he's saying anything and he's asking, just feel free to bury him completely. If he's going in a bad direction, feel free to shut him down completely.
no, John, you were a pivotal, you said something to me that messed me up so much that it
What?
really helped.
How dare you?
It did. It was great.
It was great?
In the moment, it wasn't. No, I remember there was a practice and we were running, your standard John drills where you're going to probably die by the end of this drill because you're running around everywhere.
Okay, so that's well known.
Yeah, and then I had to kind of set a ball that was so far, or my partner had, this is when I was playing with Claudia, so this is my first ever time playing beach volleyball. She shanked it and I kind of half ran to it and then gave up. And then you're like, you're lazy.
You dick. What? Just
I
straight up.
looking at you being like, who are you talking to?
Josh, I'm pretty sure in the coaching levels, level 1, they go through, hey, don't make it personal about the athlete, about their performance. You know what? Skip right over that. Level 4, it's actually tell them they're lazy.
You're not supposed to lead with the negative at
great.
level 1, but level 4, I guess you just jump right to the elephant in the room and be like, whoa, what's going on here?
Not only
I
are you
needed
playing
it.
lazy, you
It's
are
funny.
lazy.
I'm sure, John, you'll deny it because I'm sure you don't do that to people, but I needed it. So I'll tell you so you don't have a complex. It was great.
You know, you probably were lazy.
Yeah, I was.
Doubling down
on to me, though.
Doubling down on the comments. Not going to walk it back. Going to double down. No, I respect it. Right? Yep.
And in
head it
fact,
on.
you're still lazy.
In fact, not only do I think you were lazy then, you're lazy now.
No. Wait a minute. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But so often people with so much just natural physical talent are treated in a way that, it's interesting. I just had a conversation with a guy on the men's side, on the men's team, who you know quite well, Will Huey.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who that is, actually. I think that name is someone else, but...
Hoey, for our listeners at home, I think, is...
Hey, whatever. So,
Did you call him lazy as well?
Not to share any of his personal stuff. But
Right, because you did say last week that you were going to make them the best team in Canada, the world? You did say that.
I didn't say anything like that.
Take about 5 minutes, I thought. It was.
You said 5 minutes.
5 minutes with John.
You said that's what it would take.
Can I finish my point?
No, now it makes sense, though, because Brandy said that you said the lazy comment that was kind of a turning point. You only need 5 minutes to tell Will he's lazy.
Now, listen. The point is, sometimes people build this expectation around you for what you just have physically.
Yeah.
And then they just allow you to be that.
Mm-hmm.
When there's so much more to all of us than just our physical thing, right? So I don't remember the specific instant, but I know that it doesn't matter now that you're who you are.
Well, no, and I will say, I know this is sharp cuts, but I definitely noticed in the matches you played in Cancun that not only were you not lazy, but you were the highest energy on the court in many games that she
way.
played. It was super hot, and you're getting hype and excited, and people were commenting in Portuguese how they loved Brandy's energy, and I thought that was super cool. But I am curious because it kind of leads into, right, like there's some people who are like that. Everybody's got a different thing, but yet you're dealing with that dynamic with your partner as well, right? And especially in these Olympic qualifying things get tight. So I'm kind of curious, like, I'm sure you deal with that sort of stuff with Heather now. You guys are on this tight journey. Does that ever become tough when it's like, hey, I'm dealing with this, like, and your partner's maybe not okay with it, or vice versa? Because, like, I mean, having somebody call you lazy and it mess you up, I don't know about you're feeling something about it, but what is your partner saying type thing?
Right? No, I haven't had any like more lazy call outs recently, but
yeah, not recent. I just mean generally you're dealing with that stuff, right?
Like getting called out.
Oh no, like those dynamics with your partner. Like if it were me, like when I'm watching the game, you're playing a tough game, you're getting celebrated, you're getting energized, but you maybe lose the game.
Yeah.
You know, you're having a tense conversation with your partner after the match. You got to play the next match. You got to play the next tournament. Like, just super interested in that sort of dynamic stuff going on.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess it finally feels like Heather and I have been playing together for a while. Like, we have lost big games and we've won big games. So everything kind of has a routine that we've set. And, like, we'll do everything we can out there. And we make sure that we always leave that court together. We always are together. Like, that's our core value, is to not separate, not cause any more drama between us, no matter where we are after a game. And then, like, meet, you know, show some love, and then kind of give each other space to do what we want. And, like, I think it's pretty obvious that Heather and I are very different in how we play, or the energy, or, like, you know, she's much more serious and quiet and whatever. So we kind of, like, deal with our stuff differently too. So just kind of being okay with that. And
awesome. Now, I will take it, because we did have a conversation about this sort of stuff last week, and the topic was brought up, not going to say by who, but you maybe can guess, that a beach partnership was like a marriage, and that a lot of athletes would be down for marriage counseling, but with beach partners. Curious your thoughts. Josh, we get to poll an athlete here. Would you be down for something like that? Is that something you think would be helpful?
Did we freeze? You think you're asking me? Oh, sorry. No, I already had my say last week, Brandy. It's your turn.
We're polling you, Brandy, because Josh is curious.
Oh, yeah. I think I'd totally be down for that. Like, not the lame, like, let's go climb ropes and do group exercises. Like,
you say, I feel, like that stuff. Yeah.
Yes. It's so necessary. Like, you're dealing with complete strangers. And, like, this is my money on the line. This is my time on the line. We travel together. Like, there's a lot going on for someone that I'm spending majority of my life with these past 4 or 5 years. So, we better know how to communicate.
Does the debrief change when the coach is there versus just you and Heather? Like, have you guys played together long enough that, like, you two can have the honest, hard conversation, or does it honestly help having a coach on tour? Because I think that's something in Canada we struggle with every once in a while, is the coaches don't travel to every event, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, both is totally necessary. Like, because they're such different conversations. Like, sometimes you just need the coach to just fill the space. Like, you know, we're barely looking at you. We're so pissed. We can't even say anything right now, but, like, we need someone to, you know, take charge. And then once the emotions come down, like, Heather and I have our heart to heart. And that's when we can, like, even if it's just like, oh my God, how annoying was that? Like, at least we're connecting on something, you know, like, it's always going to be me and her at the end of the day. So we just need the space and the support to make sure that we stay connected.
Interesting. So coach comes in. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, I just want to get one comment in here.
Just one.
No, you and Heather are so different, yet so powerful in your own style, right? And I really noticed that in watching you in Mexico, because I hadn't had the opportunity to see you play a lot lately. And I know Heather pretty well, both sort of on and off the court. And I know she has such extreme discipline to bring that character that she brings to her game and the professionalism of it, right? So you're dealing with that because I think she's not that she's two people, but she does make the choice to behave in a certain way, when she's dealing with her, call it work or her trade. And she brings that, focus and discipline to the intensity, where your energy is so almost joyful, right? It seems like your smile is so powerful that it radiates, and that's the energy that you bring. And I think you've been able to master that. And I don't know if you know this about yourself or not. It's a question, but you master it. You're masterful with it. The way you behave on the court. And I only saw the one match. I didn't see you in trauma, but you radiate that positive energy, and that's intimidating to other teams, right?
And fans.
It's fascinating to see the two of you together, and that combination's amazing. So whatever you're doing is working.
I appreciate that. I really do. I think that's huge. And I appreciate you saying it in terms of being masterful with it, because I think that's something I've never really talked about, which a lot of the energy that I try and bring is very conscious. And it is a choice and part of my character that I want to bring on the court. So because I know it benefits, and I know that it is intimidated in a different way. It is closer to my authentic self, but I'm not like that all the time, for sure. But on the court, I am. So that's what I've dedicated to. Yeah.
You said it perfectly earlier that, you had to fake it a bit until you make it, right? Yeah. Like you have to, in a sense, you're almost, you know what you want to be. Yeah. So before you're actually it, you have to perform like you're that.
Yeah.
And then it becomes your essence, right?
Yeah.
It's so amazing. And you, man, like I said, I'm blown away. I'm so happy I'm just sitting here listening to you. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot, because you really did see me from the beginning, when I really didn't know what I was doing and where I was going. But
now, Garrett, did you feel like you had that mindset? And the reason I bring it up is when Crush played York one year, I was the volunteer ref, and your dad being a class act, he takes me out for dinner, and me and Trinier are razzing you at the dinner table about, oh, you're a world champion, you're this, you're that. Me. And you said this, and I've shared this story with all the teams I coach. You go, you know what, guys? You know what winning Worlds was for me? It confirmed what I already knew. I'm the best in the world. But you didn't say it to be a prick or a one-upper. It seemed like,
are you kidding me?
No, it seemed like this genuine comment that you honestly believed it, where I'm just like, that is like a special way to think it. But to hear you describe it, to hear Brandy describe it, and John describe it, I think most people, maybe my athletic ability, are like, oh, I'll believe it when I see it, and you want the evidence of the outcome to be proof, where it sounds like you guys are laying the track for that before it happens. So Garrett, I'm curious if were you popping off, or did you feel that way? And just to discuss this with Brandy, because I think it's fascinating how high performers think.
I definitely felt that way, but then what happens, right, is that gets tested. Right? So how easy was it for me to feel that way winning the Junior World Championship? Amazing. Feeling on top of the world, enough to brag to you guys out at dinner just about it so casually that I don't even remember it. What a move. But then it gets tested inevitably, and you got to deal with that. And so I mean, that to me is probably part of what was the toughest thing about playing beach volleyball professionally, was that was every single frickin' tournament you went to, you're dealing with that. Is that you got to be confident to be successful, but all evidence to the contrary is showing that you actually suck and you need to do better. What, are you going and winning tournaments? No. Are you struggling to qualify? Maybe. You're losing to them? Oh, they're terrible. This person, right? So you get pushed on that pretty hard. And that's kind of it's exhausting for sure. So, when I see people who do it for a long time, I am curious, okay, obviously they're dealing with this too. I was dealing with it for 5 years or whatever I did it, but they're not leaving. They're going back for more. So there must be something about it they've managed to kind of deal with or figure out or get over. And because to me it seems kind of crazy. What, you want to go back and feel that every frickin' tournament? You're crying by the pool? Are you kidding me?
Right.
I'd cry all the way to bed and home and goodbye.
Oh my God, that's it's insane. It's insanity. It really is. It's not insanity because you're not getting the same result every time. And I think maybe that's what I hold on to, that like, even if I get tested and the evidence isn't there, and there might be just like, I just need that little bit to be like, oh, that was different from last time, so that's good enough for me. Like, I think the evidence becomes different as I get older. I'm not looking for such huge steps or these huge things to be like, okay, I got the medal, that means I'm good. Now it's like, okay, I didn't make that same mistake. Okay, I thought about this differently, or, you know, we got a new coach, or, you know, like the moves are a little bit different now that I'm like, okay, at least I'm not doing the same thing every single time and not getting the result.
That's a crazy amount of optimism, Brandy. Like, I just want to point that out there. Like, that's like really wild amount of optimism. Oh, like, I'll just do this thing differently and it'll work out. I mean, it will. It does. But like, to think that is a bit like, really? You just lost your 5th straight qualifier. Really? You flew all the way to China to play in a country quota and you lost. Like, oh, just one thing and then what? It's like, so it's tough, but I mean, good for you. But that is so hard. And I mean, for me, I spent so many years in it. I got so kind of cynical that it was always like, nah, like, you know, that's not gonna do it, you know. So glad to hear you still have that. Don't listen to me. Don't let me be the. Don't let me hit you in the mind with that.
No, I'm totally, and that's the other thing that helps me be so optimistic is that this isn't like my whole life. This is not my whole identity. This is not where my life begins and ends. So I'm like really excited about the part of me that retires and like does something else. Like that's totally something I'm excited about. So maybe just knowing that this isn't forever and the only thing I have, so that if it's not being proved right now, you know, that's the end game. So.
Wow. You're talking to 3 dudes who just have no idea what you mean when you say
I
life
know.
outside
I
of
feel
volleyball.
like I'm not even allowed to say those kind of things.
Like, what are you talking about?
Wait,
like,
what? Stop playing? That's impossible.
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? Volleyball. Like, you're on a volleyball show. What do you mean life after volleyball? Are you kidding me? Like, we can't escape it.
What happens to the volleyball?
I tried to go so far away, got into game development, video game development. Yet I can't escape it. I'm back doing a show. I made a volleyball video game. Like it's like it all comes back.
That's
you know what? You're pretty funny, Garrett. You are pretty funny.
Thank you.
That was like I don't know if that was a compliment.
Thanks.
No, you're pretty funny. You're not the best at the world at being funny, though. Okay, so maybe you should get into something else.
Well, I'm on the journey to be the best talk show host on the planet, and I mean,
John, he's getting a little better every episode.
Here's just a thought on that angle, right? Like when you're
wait, we're
striving.
just gonna glaze over that I'm funny.
No, you're very funny, and I love you, and you're awesome. But the concept of trying to be the best in the world at it. The great thing about it is when you reach a realization that you actually can be. Like you actually can be, and at times you have been, Brandy, as Garrett you were. Josh, you and I don't think we've ever been the best in the world at anything, but
not yet.
We can keep trying. We can keep trying. But that principle is demanding on you, and I think, like I said, when I talk about you being masterful, Brandy, I can just feel your energy that you have balance, right? You seem balanced to me, like you're not. You're not obsessed with the goal, but you're disciplined enough to be committed to it and put the work in. And it's a great place to be. It really is. And I'm so excited for you. You're there. It's like, you know what?
We got to have you on the show more, Brandy, because you're on the show. This guy has nothing but good things to say about you. It's amazing.
I know. This is so sweet.
Aren't we all kind of seeking the joy that she's exuding in what we do, right? That's what's so special. That's the example. It's not that she's going to go win a tournament here or there, or she's striving for the Olympics. Obviously, that's a fact. But the essence of the enjoyment that radiates is that's what young people, that's what everybody should be looking at. And even in a murderous time, well, murderous is probably the wrong word, but COVID is
the visuals there though. Oh, this year has been tough.
No, come on. Like it's been a tough time, and she's still like totally positive. Like holy cow. So
I really appreciate that.
I mean, I'll double down on the comment, Brandy. Seriously, you got to come back because it seems like whatever you're bringing is like getting my dad to like way positive shape. Like, man, we should just compare episodes, last episode versus this episode, and see the tone, the huge shift in tone. Dang it, this is sharp cuts, Dad.
Like
we're having a pillow fight here. I mean, it's great, but now I'm getting a little like. Yeah, Brandy is doing great, damn it. And it pisses me off.
God damn it, maybe I will play volleyball again. Everyone's coming back.
I'm coming back then.
Well, hey, with all you characters, I'm going to create a Canadian tour, and we'll just, in the daytime, we'll play beach, and at night we'll have a comedy show.
Well, now you're kind of going a little bit far on the funny comment, making me think you didn't actually mean it now. Comedy, I don't know. It's stand-up comedy. I don't think we can.
Garrett, did you comment a lot on videos on the games? Because if you did, I will go back and read them.
There was a big Canadian presence on a few. The night games especially, I felt like there was a lot of Canadians.
I feel like if everybody knew they could comment, way more people would be watching. Like, I think the comment box is going to bring beach volleyball back.
Okay,
too.
so I was saying this a few weeks ago, and nobody was with me. Thank you, Brandy. Yes, the comments is hype.
Like,
that's where the action is.
Let's sponsor the comment box. Let's get, like, comment minutes, spotlights, highlights. Let's just make it a whole thing.
Now,
Twitter,
the problem is when Canada plays Brazil, which happens a lot, it's just Portuguese. It's like a stream. It's like the Matrix, the code that goes by. It's just, that's how hot it is. And it's everybody saying, go Brazil. Yeah. So, I mean, the games where there was only a couple hundred people, I was on fire. Absolutely.
Hey, Brandy, you've been in LA way too long. You sound like a freaking movie director, right? Oh, yeah, okay, here's what we're going to do. And you add a whole bunch of things.
We're going to have a Gatorade comment minute right here.
That's where your career is
going.
Yeah,
sorry. True. Back up. You said something about a minute. I don't know that any of us really knew what you meant by that. Like minutes like you would in a meeting, like the minutes.
That's
like
a question. Yeah.
That's a question.
Oh, no, yes. I meant no, not me writing the minutes. I'm just saying people should have their comment, like, if you wanted to go on your rant for a minute, we're highlighting Garrett and what he has to say so you don't get lost and all those things.
Yeah. No, it's actually brilliant. It's a brilliant concept.
Seriously, it's getting a bit overboard now with all the compliments to Brandy.
No, I don't want to compliment her.
It's unrelenting.
Hey, I'm telling you, it's a brilliant idea because it becomes
because Brandy had it, and it's a brilliant idea.
It becomes live chat. It becomes a live chat. It's almost like, and we talked about it earlier about the trash talking. Like, could you imagine online, like, and it's off?
Yeah, me trash talking with a bunch of people who speak Portuguese.
Yeah, when people watch sports and, like, if I'm watching soccer, somehow I'm still talking shit about people. I know nothing about their skills. But everyone thinks they're, like, the funniest person when they talk shit about things they don't know. And they're like, I wish, like, way more people heard this. This is what the comment box would be for your larger audience.
See, Brandy, whenever we have ideas now, we're going to funnel them through you to send on to my dad because it's just immediately going to change the lens. It's going to be perfect.
It's happening.
So
it's happening.
We've talked a lot about the past event, the Cancun event, which is over, but we've got a few more to go. So I'm curious, Brandy, because we talked for a while. Can you maybe set the table for us for kind of the rest of your journey, what it's looking like, what you and Heather are looking for? I mean, we'll be following you for sure, but just kind of your perspective, where you're headed, what the focus is, so we can get behind you.
Honestly, if you're thinking I'm optimistic now, like, we are just working into this because Mexico was not a very, like, deeply proud moment for us. We don't really love how we performed, but there were some good places, whatever. We, again, have been on the road. I've been on the road since last September. I haven't been back to Canada. So it's been long and it's been hard. Yes. But we finally have spent 2 weeks here in LA, which is the closest thing to home I'll see until after the Olympics. So we're really feeling refreshed after everything that's happened, Doha, Mexico, being in Brazil, living in Brazil, basically. So now coming into these next tournaments, like way more confident, way more at peace, like just way more focused, less like anxiety around how things work and what we got to do, and just so close to the qualification, things are pretty much set. So I think we're going to be playing a lot more free, a lot more aggressive, a lot more cheering and smiles from me.
Nice.
So it's going to be good. I think it's a small build up so that we're peaking for the Olympics. It's going to be good.
Okay, we will be sure to chirp relentlessly anybody in the chats for any games we are watching. But so the next two tournaments, right? Are you going to both?
Yes. So I'm going to Russia Saturday. Yes.
Okay.
It's happening.
So if you're listening, Brandy is already in Russia.
Yes.
So have a safe flight. And then the next one's where? I've forgotten already.
It's
terrible.
in Ostrava. It's in Czech.
Okay, so you're going to these two tournaments. What do we need? Do you need anything, or is it really just, hey, let's play well, and then we'll see you in Tokyo?
Yeah, that's pretty much it at bare bones. But I think we're still trying to get our ranking up as much as we can. So we still have a chance to shift that higher. But no, we're just here to perform, to play. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the vibe around Sochi? Because I've heard rumors that it's not going to have the Cancun treatment about like the check-in, the COVID protocols, like all that stuff, right? Like players are arriving at different times. Like, is there more fear, or is it just like business as usual because we're back on tour? You've already played 3 events. Like, how are you feeling going to Russia?
I mean, honestly, there's nothing that's going to be like the Cancun treatment. Like the Olympics won't be Cancun treatment. Like Cancun was 5 stars, but Russia, maybe the fear is just because the culture is a little different around COVID, you know, whether they're doing it or not. But that's maybe the biggest fear. And then, some of the logistics are conflicting. But what can you do? You stay safe, be ready to play, do your best. We'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, we'll be watching, and we're hoping you'll be dominating, because I mean, the later you play in the week, the more we get to watch, which is a blast. Yeah. So, what should we be prepared with in terms of chirps for when we get going? Like, because, you know, help us help you type thing. Like, let's really fold up some people in these chats when we're watching Wilkerson and Bansley.
Oh man, no, you're gonna have to come back. I was not ready for that. You guys have been in the comment game. I haven't even read anything.
Well, these guys haven't been in the comment game, and we need to get them in the comment game. I've been in there holding it down for Canada. I will say, the folks from BC, there's a tight-knit BC community.
Yep.
They're in there. They're active. They're throwing out chirps back to as well, which is great.
I love it. Come on, Toronto. We got it.
I know.
Me and Heather are TTC kids here.
I'm too much of a purist because I'd either go one way or the other. Like
Well, what way? Let's go a way.
No, but I am going the way. I'm not even engaging. Like if I'd either get engaged and I'd just be ripping on people.
Yes.
I feel like yes.
What's the point of making a mild comment? It just kind of
no, don't get in there.
Yeah, no.
Make a burner account called, I don't know, name it anything you want. Name it Sharp Cuts. We'll take that heat.
I don't think it's the time for that for me personally. I think
you're not at that point in your life yet.
Yeah, I'm not at that stage where that's how I want to build my brand.
Okay.
It's not authentic to him. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, fair. You know so what does that say about me if it is my time?
I do think it has a place, because if it were something to enjoy while the match was going on or the breaks, then it would be there, you know. So I think it's a cool thing. But, you know, you can't ask Brandy for her chirps. What does she care what you say to the other people that are watching her dominate?
Well, she doesn't care. She doesn't go back and watches it because she doesn't care. But I'm asking for help because, hey, I can literally do nothing else but chirp the fans of the other country. That's all I can do.
You can get at the fans, the ones that don't know what they're talking about, because you know more than all of them, Garrett.
Okay.
And also a huge fan of over-exaggerating how well we're playing with like super easy shots, those high to the six as if we planned it.
That happens a lot.
Yes. Being like, oh my God, these girls are world class. Did you
Oh,
see that
that's
free
so
ball
funny you
they
say that.
just scored with?
Like you see somebody hits like a roll shot to the middle of the court and it scores, and the announcer's like, "Oh, what a beautiful shot there for Wilkerson," and we're just like, I don't know that she meant to do that.
Clever ball. Oh, what a shot.
Yeah, it's like,
Clever
oh, beautiful.
ball. I want a clever
It's
ball.
a line over shot. Like, let's move on, okay?
Where did she come up with this stuff?
Okay, so do you get chirped a lot? Like, do you find on social media or like on the court, or do you find you get a lot of heat thrown your way ever?
No. I want to hear it though, because I want to know.
You do? Maybe that's why.
Hey, you know what?
Oh, maybe.
I'm going on and calling her lazy.
That was maybe my first and only chirp. What was that, in 2013? Like,
Yeah, but that's gonna hype her up. That's gonna get her going. That's the point.
we lose the finals and I hear John May call me lazy.
You're lazy.
I'm never losing again.
Oh God, that is hilarious. Hey, let me ask you a serious question. That Russian team, are
Wait,
they
were
legit
none of those
or
questions
what?
serious? Like, are you trying to bury
What have we been doing the last hour, Garrett?
Yeah, like what?
No, the Russian team, the Russian women's team. Are they the real deal or what?
Oh man, which one? The one that medaled, right?
Yeah.
There was one that medaled. They're steady. They're great. I don't know.
Because
what to say about that.
That was a serious question.
Well, I you know what? I was surprised because they seem steady. They seem. Now, did you guys play them?
We've played them before. Not in that tournament though.
Right. And
Tournament, I don't know how you guys felt watching it, but it felt like anything can happen, good or bad, because of how windy it was, because of how new everything was. So it just felt like that if you were the team that took advantage that day, that moment, the win was yours. So
yeah, we did talk about that, how bizarre it was, like things were happening. And we joked about the Qatar team and how like specimens that they are, and everybody was having trouble with the Italian sky serve except them. Except Qatar was like passing it like it was nothing, right?
And they're really good friends with him too, so maybe it was like a special like edge, like I'm not gonna mess this up.
No, they were unbelievable.
That's some inside info. Now, we do need some more inside info because I was getting chirped hard because court 4, I felt like Canada played on court 4 a lot.
Right?
The last one. And I was saying in the chat.
Such a shitty court.
Okay. So I was saying in the chat, it looks totally dark there. It's got the worst light. It looks like the shittiest court. And of course, Canada's there. Was it that bad?
Okay, it wasn't that bad, but like it was definitely the least favorite court of all of them. You can even have like proper seating around there. Like fans could not watch there if they wanted to. So it made it very lonely out there.
Okay. So I'm not totally off. Those of you who were listening in the frickin' near, no, it isn't that. Okay. Nobody's.
You got to get a sharp cut comment person going in there, and then people will be like, "Who is this?" And then I'll watch your show. That's how they'll do it.
Yeah, true. We did have a few listeners shout us out in the chats and say, "Hey, love the show." I say a few. I mean one. Yeah. Well, I mean, Brandy, this is the show.
Yes, thank you.
I'm a little bit pissed at this. I'm a little bit pissed at this because if you put out another poll, I'm not sure I'd dominate.
Well, I maybe have to then put out a poll.
The poll.
Well, a little background. If you're still listening, thank you so much, by the way. We can't say that enough. Like, man, you've been a trooper. And thank you, Brandy, for being here. We did a poll where I asked, after 2 episodes, who the favorite guest is. And my dad won with an overwhelming percentage, with like 60% of the vote.
It was 7 episodes. 7 episodes.
Well, this was after 2 episodes.
In a row you won?
No, it was 7 episodes when we did the poll.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't, but okay. And the option that came in second
Five.
was this show is garbage. So it was incredibly devastating to Dan Deering, Jake McNeil, and Oscar Gahu, who lost to this show is garbage. So that's the poll he's referring to. And I'm almost 100% sure if we just put you and Brandy head to head that Brandy would win. Although, would that bury you if you lost that poll, Brandy?
Yeah, because I'm
It would
still
bury me.
competitive.
Yeah, like I should throw myself in there so that if one of us is buried, we're all buried.
You know what? No. Don't do that, because I'm not afraid. As nice as I've been to Brandy, there's no way she's going to be me in a poll.
Yeah, there we go. There we
Come
go.
on.
Now it's on. Now
Okay,
it's
what is
on.
this, a nice off? Like, no, you would win, you would win?
No, I'd win.
Oh,
Whoa.
yeah, like, whoa, what?
Just
Well,
saying.
this is how the show usually ends, Brandy. Like, I don't know if it usually just devolves to the point where we try to shut it down and then Dad inevitably brings another topic in to keep it going. I feel one coming. You've got one bubbling, don't you?
You know, I wanted to know what's the, it's interesting now that the Olympics are coming up, because the last Olympics, you and I were there together, sort of, because you were there with Mel and that whole experience. How's the dynamic with the other ladies?
Good. I mean, I'm still close with Mel. I think we both share that, like, how crazy was it that we were in Rio and now this is going to be our Olympics? Like, I think we both kind of reflect on that and look out for each other there and love to see each other grow. And I mean, going to York together, like, things have paralleled with us for so long. So I'm just stoked. Like, I'm stoked that some of our biggest competitors are going to be from the same country. So that's kind of like a privilege in a way, if I want to be super optimistic about it. But yeah, I don't know.
We wish you the best of luck. We're going to be following along all the games that we can. I mean, listen, if you're playing at 3 a.m., it's going to be tough. I don't want to say no, but you can know that if we're on there, the chat's going to be firing.
We'll make it worth it. Cause some drama, something to talk about at least.
Well, then we'll definitely be there. I mean, of course. But listen, thanks so much for hopping on the call with us. Thanks for being here, and I'm sure. I don't know. I think we were all impressed by some of the things you said and just the way you carry yourself. So I hope our listeners were as well. Josh, you got any final words before we shut this thing down?
Another solid episode, Garrett. I mean, you add the favorite guest with Brandy. I mean, the ratings, they're going to double, triple.
I mean, they better.
They better. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube at Yes Guy Gaming, if you're listening, that means you're at Passin Dimes and you're on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you get podcasts, you can get this one. And I think the nicest compliment you can give this show right now, Garrett, is just telling your friends. I think that's the best marketing we can get, is just tell a friend about this Sharp Cut show, and we'll just keep doubling and doubling every week.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.